Welcome back, everyone, to Law School Life and Beyond's Leadership Series. My name is Katya, and I'm the host of this podcast. On today's episode, I am joined by Keith Driscoll. Keith is an intellectual property lawyer in Detroit at Confidant Consult, and he actually was also my intellectual property professor in the law firm program I took at Detroit Mercy. I'm really excited for this episode because we haven't discussed intellectual property on this show yet, and I'm hoping that you guys learned as much as I did last semester and through this interview from Professor Driscoll about intellectual property law. So with that, thank you so much, Keith, for coming on the show today.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you having me.
So I start off with the origin story question always. What drew you to a career in law?
I was actually working as an engineer, and I was just bored. I wasn't doing enough engineering, and so for me, I was going back to do advanced schooling either for a PhD in biomedical engineering, or I was going to go and pursue law because it always interested me ever since I was a child. And I was informed about patent law and intellectual property. And I thought that the two were a very unique combination and thought that law school would be something I would enjoy, and working in intellectual property is something that I would enjoy. And so that's why I pursued a career in intellectual property.
Okay. And do you mind just describing the different types of intellectual property for our listeners?
Sure. There's really three main types of intellectual property. There's patents, trademarks, and copyrights. Okay. And with each, really focusing on patents and trademarks, there are subsets to each of those that honestly take years to understand and get into. On a very high level, patents are going to focus on the utility of a product or an invention. Trademarks are going to focus on protecting your brand. And then copyrights are intended to really protect artistic works. Great authors have got copyrights on their works. Great inventors have patents, and great businesses have trademarks.
Okay. And when it comes to patents, most people that go into patent law have an engineering background.
Yes, they do.
And we spoke the other day about how there's actually a separate bar, the patent bar. Can you kind of describe that process? Because that was something I did not know.
Yeah, so in the United States, you are first. You can actually take the patent bar as an engineer.
That's cool.
So it's a complement for any engineer that has an interest in protecting their inventions. You can study for the patent bar, and you can be licensed. What that license provides to you is the ability to practice patent prosecution before the United States Patent and Trademark Office. Patent prosecution is really just related to the filing of a patent application and the correspondence between you as a representative of an inventor or yourself as an inventor with the USPTO. The purpose of that is that the patent law is very, very complex. The book that you have to study, thousands of pages, and there is just a lot of detail. And so the patent office wants to make sure that the person who might be drafting a patent is going to be sufficiently knowledgeable in drafting patent applications and USPTO procedures and patent law generally in order to represent someone. And so if you're an engineer and you just take the patent bar and you pass, you are what is called a patent agent.
Okay.
You may represent clients before the patent office, specifically preparing and filing and communicating with the patent office. But then also if you are an attorney, so once you become licensed as an attorney in any state, if you have this patent bar, whether you get it before you are licensed as an attorney or after, you can notify the patent office, and you will then be become a patent attorney under the USPTO records. And you have to have both the state license and the patent bar in order to also market yourself as a patent attorney.
Okay.
Most patent attorneys today will classify themselves under the umbrella of intellectual property attorney.
Mm-hmm.
I do not have the patent bar. It's just something I've not gotten to yet. But I call myself, or I say I'm going to practice in intellectual property law because the majority of my work has related to patent litigation, acquisition of patents, so licensing of patents, and then some trademark filings, because you can make trademark filings and communicate with the United States Trademark Office without a separate bar. Just being a licensed U.S. attorney allows you to do that. Same thing with copyrights. And so the focus of my practice has really been in the litigation licensing realm of all IP, which then also kind of gets me into sometimes, trademark, simple trademark filings, simple copyright filings, and then, making sure that the recording of IP is appropriate at each of the various offices.
Okay. And was just writing the patent bar something you ever considered, or was it always going to be law school as well as the patent bar?
So I did want to do law school in the patent bar, but since I've been practicing, my career goals have changed slightly. And so I think the patent bar is going to be out of the question.
Okay.
Mainly again, just my career goals. I have a different focus rather than just, for me, drafting patent applications, and the communications with the USPTO. I don't know if that's something I want to necessarily do on a day-to-day basis. I like the intellectual stimulation of like litigation and also assessing the law in the totality, the premise of the law, why is the law applied the way it is, et cetera. And so that's where I would like to focus my career moving forward.
Okay. I remember my brother had like a little baby invention, and I started looking up different patents, and I was like, this is German. It is so specialized. Oh, wow. Like patent law is just so far out of my scope. It's not even funny.
Yes. Reading a patent is, it takes some skill, and honestly, it takes years of practice. And even after years of practice, there is still a lot you don't know. It's been suggested to me that to be a good patent attorney, you need 7 years, because in 7 years of practice, you'll probably see things once.
Wow.
But so then seeing things once makes it difficult to be an expert in this area. So the complexity of it just makes it a very unique practice, and something that what you'll find is that a lot of attorneys, if they're a patent attorney, they'll focus in the patent prosecution world, where that is acting really as the agent, having all the communications with the USPTO and representing clients in that way. And you'll also have like the IP litigation bubble, where you'll have attorneys who typically are patent attorneys. They do not have to be, though, that focus their career on patent litigation, so enforcement, infringement issues, defending against a patent infringement claim. And then the third and smaller group is the licensing. So the attorneys that will focus on licensing, purchasing, selling patents, and those types of more business-oriented IP aspects. And that's where I've been. I've been in the business IP and then the litigation side.
Okay. And so what does the litigation side look like? What does your day-to-day kind of look like in that role?
Yeah, so that really is, there's a lot of work in it. They can be long days sometimes. But the thing that I like about the IP litigation is that each case is unique. And I also get to see just all the different technologies. And I also get to see how those companies implemented those technologies. And then I also get the opportunity to rely on my engineering and my technical background to make legal arguments on why something may infringe a patent or why something doesn't infringe a patent. And so that's something that I really have enjoyed, and I really enjoy talking to the clients about their technology because they're always so excited about it. And then, you get someone that's infringing and they're like, oh, they copied me. But then the nuances of patent law, we have to articulate to them, which is sometimes difficult to do because the words in a patent, specifically the words at the end of the patent, they're similar to words that you see in a deed for property. There's only a few people who really understand how all those words operate, what they mean, and articulating that to a client can sometimes be difficult. And also articulating that to a court in understandable terms is also very difficult to do because not all judges are scientists or engineers.
That's true. I never thought about that.
Yeah, that presents a very unique challenge for most intellectual property attorneys. During patent litigation cases, the attorneys, the highest end patent attorneys or IP patent litigation attorneys that you'll come across have a very unique skill set in that they can take very complex subject matter and just boil it down into a very simple concept. And that simple concept is so that a jury can also understand. It's not only just the judge, but they have to make it so that the jury can understand what something means and how it's applied to the product at issue. So I think that it is very interesting and it is very challenging. And if you really want a career where you're going to be consistently challenged, the IP litigation is absolutely something where that will happen.
Wow. I think that that's what's really cool and novel about the legal profession in general is that you're explaining a lot of very just like kind of niche subjects and words to the general population or to your clients. So that would just be completely heightened in patent because that is something that's out of most people's scope is reading this kind of language. Like engineering is just so specific.
Well, and even as the attorney, even with your engineering background, and even if you had years of experience in industry, these products that come across, like even us talking to the engineers, it takes some work to get us up to speed because the people that we're working with these are the cutting edge engineers of the world. Yeah. And I mean, these people are brilliant. They create amazing inventions, and it is our job it's the job of patent attorneys to get that amazing invention down on paper, which is the patent, and then working with the patent office to find out, okay, what is novel about this, and how does this patent protect the novelty of this genius's invention? And then from the litigation side, it's okay, how do we make sure that someone else isn't making, selling, or using this product in an unauthorized manner? And then the licensing IP attorneys, their job is, how can we possibly help this company or this individual inventor to monetize the work, dedication, and ingenuity of that individual's or that company's invention? And so it's a multifaceted area that you have to have a lot of high level and low level knowledge. Sometimes from a business perspective too.
It must be really cool though to see these inventions, just like personally. Like, there's probably some cool stuff that like flops in front of your desk.
Oh yeah, yes, yeah. I would love to disclose.
Yeah.
Some of them, but some of the inventions, like I have had. I think I've had 3 that I have seen where I have went, oh wow, that is really cool.
Wow. And you can't tell us about it?
I can tell you broadly that at least one of them is in the golf industry. It relates to a golf club.
Cool. Okay.
and so I like golfing. I am horrible at golfing, but I love golfing. But talking with this inventor, it's going to be one of the fondest things I will look back on my career thus far. And I've been an attorney for a relatively short period of time. But the way he describes his technology is just, it's astonishing because the concepts are simple, but so complex. And it's just, it's really been amazing to see how his product legitimately can help you in your golf game.
Yeah.
And and that industry, it's such a niche industry that his slight variations and that slight improvement, it really makes a drastic impact on, how a golf ball travels when you hit it, or, for the amateur golfer, how can it help you swing the club a little bit better? It's been really interesting working on those types of things.
That is really interesting. My next question then is, how are you currently defining success for yourself?
I think when you're in law school, most people will think that success is defined by, well, I made partnership in a large firm, and I'm making a lot of money. To me, that was not where I, as a person, felt that I was going to feel successful.
Even in law school?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's, for me, becoming an attorney was a little bit more than just, hey, I'm out here to go make money. If you want to go make money and you've got the intelligence, you can absolutely go do that in the legal career. But, as I am in law school and then coming out and teaching, and then also just like my experiences in the legal profession this far, what I saw was that path is a struggle. It's, you don't get to spend much time with your friends, your family. If you want to, spend the dinners with your family, it's really not a reality that can be met. And for me, that's been something that I struggled with, and something that I was like, okay, if I'm doing this, maybe I'm making a decent amount of money, but is it worth me not seeing my daughter on a regular basis, maybe just being able to spend a couple hours a week with her? To me, that wasn't success. So success to me in my career is going to be defined on, was I able to also be a good father, a good husband, a good friend? But even more importantly, was I able to serve the profession and really almost apply like all attorneys are under ethical obligations. And my question is, was I able to serve those fully? Was I able to provide a benefit to the public, to my clients? And what impact did I have when I left? Did I just sit there and make money and serve, other profiteering efforts, even if they are legitimate and completely legal business ventures? Or did I make an impact by serving someone who maybe doesn't have the big pocketbooks and making a difference? And for me, that was where I was going to define success, is finding a way to make sure that I did the most that I could with my career, that I handled myself in the most professional and respectful manner, and that I have a relationship with my daughter and my wife 15, 20 years from now that I know is, we love each other, and that's a good relationship. And to me, that is what is going to define success. Okay.
And so aside from like that advice, defining success and how you've defined it, what advice do you have for current and future law students?
One of the biggest things that I think every law student should do is to seek out a mentor.
Okay.
And I would suggest seeking out a couple different mentors that you can keep in touch with throughout your career.
Mm-hmm.
I had the pleasure of having several. Some were my colleagues in law school that might have been a year or two ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
Some were attorneys that I talked to before law school. Some were attorneys in the firms that I've worked with that are, maybe 5 years ahead of me.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was the mentor that I had who trained me while I was in law school. So I had the opportunity and pleasure to work in a firm that provided this training program for engineers that were also in law school. And so in this training program, you would work on IP matters. And that relationship I am forever grateful for having, because without it, I really don't believe I would be where I'm at today. And I also don't believe that I would have the same legal skill set that I have today. And so when you're in law school, if you can find some place to work where you have an attorney who is has the experience necessary where they can teach you, and, it's a bit of a mutual beneficial relationship where you can do some work for them and they can also take the time to teach you.
Mm-hmm.
That to me is the best relationship or the best thing you could ever do for your career.
Mm-hmm.
And that they don't necessarily need to hire you either right out of law school. It might be a clerkship. It might be even a volunteer opportunity. Those experiences are going to last you throughout your professional career. And I think in certain situations, your lifetime. Mm-hmm. They're going to have an impact on you. And they're also going to help you understand how you want to practice law. And then what types of law do you like practicing, and what types of law do you not like practicing?
Mm-hmm.
So getting mentors. That is, I think, the most important advice that could be given to a law student. And I just so happened to have that opportunity when I was in law school. And I didn't even realize. It was kind of funny because I didn't realize the opportunity I had until I was out and practicing for about a year and a half. And then it dawned on me, and I was like, wow, like, how grateful am I? Yeah. And it was when I think it was about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, where an associate class came in behind me. Mm-hmm. In seeing how the knowledge and skill set of those associates versus where I was at just 1 year ahead of them. Now, don't get me wrong. You're going from year 1 to year 2 as an associate in any firm, you are going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
But what I realized was that the work that they were capable of doing, which was different than what I was capable of doing at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And I realized that where they were going to be at the end of their first year versus where I was at then was going to be slightly different. And the only difference was that I was given an opportunity that they just did not have. It was nothing against their ability or their intellect. Like, most people that are in law school are very, very smart individuals. Mm-hmm. And so that mentorship really sets you apart. And I've also noticed that some of the other associates that I've worked with, the ones that are generally considered exceptional, that is the one thing that they have someone to go to, or they've had some other type of experience, whether at a courthouse or another firm, that helps to set them apart from the individuals who do not have that.
Okay. And I think that's what I really appreciate about UDM is their externship opportunities. They're constantly throwing those at us. And I think that is a really good way to, if people, for our listeners that are listening, if people are nervous to reach out and kind of start those conversations with potential mentors, I think that the externships are a really good avenue for that.
Yeah. And, for anyone that's listening, please feel free to put my contact information out there. If
I will.
anyone, I'm happy to mentor myself. But if the area of practice that you're looking to go into differs from what I'm doing and your goals are different, at the very least, if I can't provide you any advice or mentorship, I'm happy to see if one of my colleagues can. And that's a great start. And I sincerely mean that. And I'm sure if any of you are listening and you don't think I'm being sincere, please reach out to Katya, because she's going to, she will hopefully attest to the fact that you can reach out to me, or she can help get you in touch with me.
No, yeah, that I will definitely put your contact information out there. And I really appreciate you coming on the show, Keith. This was awesome. And I'm so excited to air this episode.
Thank you very much, Katya. I appreciated this as well.
And that concludes today's episode. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in, as always. And be sure to tune in next week for Law School Life and Beyond's next episode of the Leadership Series.